It is yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Aura Quadri replays top sports on the tennis ranking. Coming in from the world of tennis athletics, Toby Amoso absent from World Indoor Championship. Super Eagles of Nigeria all set for the encounter this Friday. Details of these are minimal will be yours when we return from the break. Welcome back, Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television. On this edition of the program, I will be put up.
Good morning, Sir. It's a delightful moment to be here.
We start in athletics, where the World Athletics has released the final entry list for the upcoming World Athletics Indoor Championship. But in addressing on the side note, top Nigeria athlete Toby Amoso, Favor Philly, and Esebume are notably absent from Team Nigeria. Epo, these are addressing Nigeria's top athletes. They are all absent at this year's edition of the program. What's going on?
I think that slight omission there from them, and that there's not been any cogent reason for their exclusion from the the championship, the indoor championship. Usually, this used to be the first season, championship. This will be staged in China, and you understand that a lot of activities have been going on. The NCAA activities in the different colleges are on. Unfortunately, big names like you mentioned will not be there, and I asked myself why. I mean, the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, this news broke yesterday. I was expecting them the last 24 hours to have also come up with more, developing stories as regards their exclusion, but none has been made available so far from the Athletic Federation. But one thing very clear is that regardless of that exclusion, we're going to see the likes of Timitope Adesina, some of the names there. Well, I think that the Athletic Federation needs to come up with clear terms on why they were excluded, so that we'll get to be abreast why, if it is injury, if it's because none, and we have also heard the reaction from the top athletes of Favor Philly. We haven't heard that, so maybe we'll just wait and see why they were excluded.
Toby Amoso, no doubt, Nigeria's top athletes by all standards will be absent, and Favor Philly as well will clearly be absent. But in the absence of all these top stars, short put specialist Chukwu Buka Nekweche will be there. 400 meters runner-up Chidi Okweze will lead Nigeria's 9-member squad. Other Nigerians they are listed for the championship include NCCA Women's Indoor High Jump Champion Temitope Adesina. We have Africa Indoor record holder in the men's 400 meters event, Ezekiel Nathaniel. Not forgetting Pristina Ochorogo, Paris Olympic finalist. The team is completed by Edidion Udo, James Ewuka, Ifeanyi Ojeli, there's Joshua Caleb as well. Nigeria consists of 7 men and of course 2 female in this squad. Probably they'll be competing in high jump, long jump, short 400 meters, shot put, and the men's 4x400 meters relay event. According to the World Athletics Championship, we're expected to see nearly 600 athletes from 127 countries, including 11 individuals defending their titles. And let's see what Nigeria will come up with. We expect that there'll be a lot at stake at this indoor championship after what looks like the beginning of elect this year for 2025. We'll keep our fingers crossed and of course see how it pans out. It will be taking place in China from the 21st of March to the 23rd. 4 days of active competition out there. Let's now go to tennis, and in tennis, it's cheering news for Nigeria because Haruna Quadri has reclaimed his position as Africa's highest ranked player, according to the International Table Tennis Federation. He is number 1 in Africa and number 18 in the world.
Yeah, that's one step, and that's because Omar Assar, you know, he displaced Omar Assar. And you ask why? Because these rankings can be very funny. I mean, based on rankings, you know, he's been able to go far. Omar Assar has also done very well. Omar Assar won the African, you know, championship recently. They've had 4 WTT contender series so far. So you ask yourself, what were the measures? But it's simple. I mean, we saw the doggedness, you know, to which he played at the last competition, and I think that alone, you know, held sway for him. The quality of opponent that came his way, he was able to. In fact, he was seated by former world number 2, and that tells a lot. So I think that alone, and then the fire play too. It's one that has really been fantastic for him. So going that far, getting to the semi-finals was very magical, and that alone had played a lot of role. Don't forget, this is the 5th, rankings, and I know for sure that now that he has claimed it, just 1 point difference, or 1 point difference, but I still think that his rankings will help him because he's really in fine form this time around, and when he gets to play those big players, he's getting used to them right now. I just hope that last week he lost to Chugin, the Chinese star, world number 2, who of course ousted him out, and these are the kind of qualities that he brings to, you know, tennis. So possibly that's why he's gone back to becoming African number 1 ranked player, and of course 18th in the world.
Haruna Quadri right now number 1 African table tennis player and number 18th in the world of tennis. That's quite a leap. If you ask me, yes, it was. He's taking the position of Omar Assar. Omar Assar is an Egyptian and another African that has been doing so well. In fact, is reputed to have won the 2025 International Table Tennis Federation African Cup, but he has dropped there in ranking. Can Haruna Quadri take it a step further? He is known to have dropped twice at the semi-final stage of the World Table Tennis Cup. Can he take it a step further? Because we want to see him. He's at the twilight of his career, if you ask me, and you want to see him get to the next step, win, at least qualify for the final of the World Table Tennis Championship.
Yeah, I think so. And they should tell himself that, come on, I want to get to the knockout rounds. Of course, tennis tournaments are always knockout rounds, so you expect that at least get to the later stages of every competition. If that is his target, I don't think that he will ever lose grip of this. What we have seen in recent time is level of inconsistency, you know, losing. For example, I mean, when you lose against the man who you are contending with in the final, it doesn't tell well at all. So I think that he needs to hold his own. In Africa, the only challenge he has is, El Belali of Egypt and then Omar Assar of Egypt. These are the 2 players that are, you know, very close to him, trailing him. But I think that the ability to contest strongly against the world best, you know, the likes of Caderano of Brazil, Chukin, you know, the big names in tennis, if you can hold your own strong against them, because the Europeans and the Asian guys are just the contenders there. So I'm thinking that every tournament he goes, because there will be a lot of tournaments that he will participate in, hold grip and ensure that you get to the later stages. If he gets there, the more you go further in tournaments, the more your ranking points will increase.
Talking about rankings and Haruna Quadri's leap to as number 1 in Africa, 18th overall in the world, is not only Nigerians. Haruna Quadri that made progress at the latest rankings released a couple of hours ago. Nigeria's Omotayo Olajide as well made some progress, moving from number, let's say, over 100. We had the 106 or so, but now Omotayo is the 98th tennis player in the world, moving up 4 places. In the women's category, Egypt's Hannah Koda, of course, retained her position as Africa's highest ranked player, moving on 1 place to 26th overall in the world of tennis. compatriot Dina Mashrev, of course, moved as well to 33 in the world and the second best ranked player in Africa. So it is some kind of movement between Nigeria and Egypt there, both in the male Nigeria. In the female, it's Egypt that is top ranked. But meanwhile, Fatima Bello, a female tennis player in Nigeria, is ranked number 33 in the world and of course remains the highest ranked player from Nigeria. Is female tennis not growing in Nigeria?
For me, I think that for female tennis, it is, but it's just still known names. Fatima Bello. We talk about the lady from Edem. These are the two unknown faces when it comes to, since the former Olympian has retired, and I think that we need to start developing young ladies that will take over. The problem is that it's these ladies are built to their point over time. So even if you're coming in like Miriam the River, we need to have a fantastic young star. Look at what Hannah Goda is doing. In the last 10 years, we've seen how she, gradually has gotten to this point. So you can trace her, her gradual, move, ascendancy, and I tell you, it's about consistency. So if we can get young lads like that, develop from maybe the youth games and the sports festival, climbing to that ladder and then pushing them, giving them scholarship. I mean, we can do that, but it's just about the priority from the tennis federation. That's my taking. So I think that we'll congratulate Edem for holding strongly. I mean, Fatima Bello for holding strongly and ensuring that she is the only one who can battle the Egyptians at that level.
Edem, no doubt about it. Fatima Bello doing well, and we hope that they can put themselves together and improve on the ranking. 93 in the world is quite adversely seeking for improvement in terms of female tennis ranking. But talking about ranking in tennis, I'm not surprised that China's Wang Chunqing maintained his position as the world's second best player, trailing another Chinese Xindong who continues to lead the ranking. Any surprises that we're having the Chinese as the number 1 and number 2, closely followed by Japanese Tomokazu Harimoto?
No surprise, no surprise. I mean, these guys are fantastic. You need to see them play. I have to take my time to research and watch their videos. How they play, why they are why they are unbeatable in the world. Harimoto is one of the fantastic players you can ever think of. Even Chugin that dispatched Aura Quadri in the last series. You just know that these guys are in a class of their own. And so I tell myself, no surprises why. Look at the gap in the rankings. It's difficult to really breed that, but one thing very common is that you get to play these players. So somehow you need to also take a shy from them. Sometimes be able to beat them. That's just my challenge, but I think it's fine so far.
Looking at rankings, and Haruna Kwari emerging as number 1 in Africa, his position as number 18 in the world could better be improved if at the maiden World Table Tennis Contender Chennai Championship in India. In Chennai, India, you have a conglomeration of world best tennis players, and Haruna Kwari will be part of that tournament. This is the 50th of the year, and do you see him going for that prize money of nearly $300,000 US?
It depends on his priority. He's a replacement, a late call-up, and I think that when you are a replacement, you just have to show that your call-up was not a fluke, and that should be what we ring in him. So I think that he has his destiny in his hands. Now that he's has claimed the African #1 spot, maybe that will revigorate and also re-energize him to pushing forward. I just think that he should be able to get past his first game, and then we can take it from there.
9 of, in fact, 10 tennis players will be in Chennai, India for this World Table Tennis Contender Championship, and we hope to see Haruna Quadri, do his very best. We wish him the best of luck, if you ask me. Meanwhile, the Players Union, co-founded by Novak Djokovic, is in the news again. Of course, you are aware of their last legal action. Do you see them making progress this time around? Novak Djokovic and, of course, some tennis players put themselves together, and has filed papers at the United States District Court in New York, seeking for some kind of trial. Is this going to go their way? 12 players, on the block.
It all depends. I mean, the law, I mean, the way the law is seen over in the Western climes is not the way it is seen here in Africa, and maybe in some of the, developing countries like Nigeria. So I think that they always have their say. They may be minority in nature because what they're seeking for is the welfare of players, and they're also seeking for their voice to be heard. They want to be more powerful than the governing bodies. How is that going to be possible? I don't know. But one thing I know for sure is that they've seen some irregularities in the procedures and the rules, the inconsistencies in the way things are done in the WTA and the ATP, and somehow they are not. These things are not. It's not in tandem with the original laws that should govern the game. So for them, they need an interpretation from the court, on certain matters. Nigrikos was very furious when the ban was suspended last year against world number one Yannick Sinner, and then given back to him. So some of these players have signed this memorandum, and come together to say, okay, we want to fight for what is our right. I mean, they are seeking for the consistencies of the laws as dished out by the governing bodies and maybe the world doping agencies.
Novak Djokovic leading some tough tennis players to challenge rules, and of course, do I say the status quo where players do not have a lot to say about their wages, and of course some of the rules governing the tennis body, both for the male and the female. It looks like it's going to be a long road. This was started in 2020 and this is 2025, and it is still not. But again, what are the courts for? They have to interpret the rules and of course help players, especially when it concerns with their welfare. The situation where the regulatory bodies are all by using the players is not in the interest of this players association put together by Novak Djokovic. No doubt one-time world number one in tennis, and clearly the most when it terms talk about Grand Slam, no other player in tennis so far has made as many in the male category of tennis. So I think he has to be heard, of course, alongside his colleagues. Meanwhile, we'll now go to Formula One, where only a few days ago, the season got started with the Australian Grand Prix, and with an unlikely winner from McLaren. But beyond that, a tougher test aimed at restricting the flexibility of rear wings have been introduced for this weekend's Chinese Grand Prix. Is this in the interest of drivers for Formula One cars?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, some of the changes now, of course, after the first phase of the season in Melbourne, you expect that some of the internal changes we've done, the changes in the rules and of course the procedures of how teams should function will always be upgraded. That's why the FIA are there, and that's why the game is called Formula One, because of the procedures that guys what happens on the circuit. But then beyond it, we have heard that this is the final year where some of the rules that were initiated a few years ago will be suspended, going from next year. But so I'm just wondering if this will be, if this has been agreed and also consented by different, constructors. But I mean, let's see. The second Grand Prix comes this with the Chinese Grand Prix. Let's see how far they can balance what transpired then, because we saw a lot, especially at the moment there was a downpour. The circuit was wet, and that a lot brought about some of these issues. But let's see how far it goes, and maybe we'll get to see how these changes will also, affect or bring positivity in the way things will be done this weekend in China.
Use of rear wing to be put to test in China, and we hope it will move as well all the way to Japan as well. We'll just take one more story before we take a break, and that will be coming from women football. After 2 weeks of mid-season break, we'll understand the 2024-2025 Nigerian Women Football League partnership returns. We might the 8th of September today. The second half season, which has all teams to participate with, we'll see a situation where there could be some turn on the 14th on the table. But then any fixture that is of note coming up today, Rivers Angels is in action as well. In far away, I think they are in up north.
Damawa.
And Damawa, right.
And Sarah, I tell you, when you have 4 teams still unbeaten in the league at this point in time, you ask yourself, they still have more 8 games to play. Does it look likely that Rivers Angels will draw point? I really doubt. So for Rivers Angels, I already take them good. They look like a team that will qualify automatically. Remo Stars also traveling away, So I think that we're going to see some of these teams that are still outstanding. Maybe there will be a changes, but I still feel that they will go or they will qualify to the next round. But I love the fact that for the first time we've seen consistency in the way rules are applied. They went on break, they came back, and now we are in for the second half.
For the first time, we haven't seen postponement of resumption of the league here in the women category, and I think that looks good. And of course, kudos goes to the organizers of the league. I talk about today's fixture in Group A. Ekiti Queens are home to Edo Queens, one of the teams yet to drop points, and that fixture will be coming up at Ilorin Township Stadium. While Conference Queens story will be taking up the Hadland Queens in yet another fixture there. Amazons from Nasarawa will take on Remo Stars Ladies, and that will be at Lafayette Township Stadium. Then in Umuahia, Abia Angels will be up against Danas Ladies. While in Group B, we already told you how Andamara Queens are waiting for Rivers Angels from Port Harcourt, where the official will be taking place in Newman. Benue Queens will be up against Niger Rattles at the Lafayette Township Stadium. Then at the Samson Celsius Stadium in Igua, Bayelsa Queens will be up against Robo Queens. Bayelsa Queens, no doubt, one of the top teams so far this year. Ibom Rangers are up against Delta Queens at the Yo Township Stadium. Race for the top spot would really be exciting to watch there. The Queens we mentioned before, Rangers, Angels from Rivers, Bayelsa Queens, and Remo Stars all aiming to show why they have not dropped points so far this season. Time for us to take a break. When we return from the break, we'll bring you some more exciting stories coming from the world of football, and of course, an inside look of what is with how prepared the Super Eagles of Nigeria are up against their counterparts from Rwanda. The feature comes up on Friday. Latest information is that all 23 players and officials are in camp in Rwanda, are ready when we return from the break. Welcome back. A sports talk here on Atlantic Television Network, because we'll bring you latest around the world of sports. And we're now into football proper, where the Nigerian National League again has announced a shift in the date for the commencement of the second stanza of the league. Only a few minutes ago, we were commending the organizers of the Women League for not extending resumption date of the league, or the second stanza of the league. This is prevalent in the National League.
I think that I mean, this is one area. The second tier of club football in Nigeria seems to be the area that is yet to, hold itself strongly. Yeah, they started, lately, and of course they went for that break. We're thinking that okay, they should come back, but I'm sure that they are still putting things together. The pattern of play there, they have like 4 conferences, and so they need to align some of these things, and then create enough room for players to, rest, while the administration also plan, towards coming back. So it takes a whole lot. Logistics challenges are also part of why the postponement. But then I just hope that, like I said, April we'll get to see them come back.
Well, it's very disturbing that even the organizers of the league did not give reasons to the club sides why this postponement took place. Why can't they give reasons and to assuage the organizers, or sorry, the club sides, why this postponement? Why do you just give a blanket postponement in spite of how these club sides have planned? Now they have to maybe incur extra costs on getting the teams ready.
And that's one area that I think Allow need to do a whole lot, because he's the one managing affairs of the league. I think that there is a high level of disinterest, okay, from spectators. We don't even get to know. This season has been very, very, very dull in terms of, the apathy that comes with a lot of persons who ordinarily have some penchant for the second tier league. Is really they are really losing a lot of supporters, because the league affairs is not synchronizing with what we're seeing and what is expected. But I think that they'll sort this out. It's just an administrative issue that is, affecting the system. But I hope that this will be sorted out. Hence, the other clubs in the league have also protested, even if some of them are aware and not happy with some of the inherent challenges, But I feel that they will sort themselves out and maybe come back. My challenge now is, with what is happening, we need to close every league before May latest, so we can start preparing. And I just pray that they meet up to that deadline, so we can have those coming to or getting promoted to the league.
Well, we just hope that Ayoroma Abdurrahman, in charge of the will ensure that the proper thing is done. We want to see a situation where there is a proper calendar and their calendar followed religiously. But for now, it's been not followed at all. I must say what it is. We've often seen this in the past, and it has not improved, and it doesn't give room for proper planning. The club sides themselves has to be taken into consideration. You don't just come and give blanket postponement of dates of resumption of the league after they have worked with the calendar from time. Let's hope that like I said, and the others organizing the National League, Nigerian National League, will do what is right. Now, talking about what is right, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are already in camp. In the last 72 hours, we've seen the arrival of players and officials. But as yesterday, all 23 are in camp, and there was the very first full training section under the leadership of the new head coach of Super Eagles, Eric Chell, who is in charge. Epo, talking about the arrival of players, the last of the 23 arrived yesterday before the training section.
Yeah, and I think it's good. But I know that they've missed one day now, so they have like haven't done the first full training section. They have like 2 more training sections and probably more to prepare for this one. Is it enough to go and face the Amavobis who have been training since Sunday? Where I think that the players, some of them just played in Europe, so it's understandable. I just hope that they can gel into Chile's plan. I don't have a problem with the kind of tactics that will be deployed, but I just hope that these players understand, the condition and the situation that we find ourselves, and they can beautifully, gel to get a win in Kigali, because we need that win. This is not time for draw or joking with the results. So it's a good news that they've started training, and I'm beyond that, we heard about the parents in the room too. That seems to be very laughable. But let's leave all those off-field activities. Let's focus on what Chile is doing, and let's see how far it can garner support from the players, and of course, massive commitment around the team.
Something interesting. The two countries, Nigeria and Rwanda, have new henchmen in charge. Do you see this having some kind of effect on the encounter?
Ebe Amoruchi, yes, former Algerian coach. I think that yeah, it will, and that's my fear, because the both coaches will not want to lose, knowing fully well too. The players know that they have an advantage against Nigeria, and so that alone can also push them forward to want to get in harm on us. They're going to play in their home soil in Kigali, so I think that for me, it's just the level of psychology and the determination of our players. It won't be an easy knock. I won't tell you here that it will be an easy one for us to travel to Kigali and get a massive win. I see a very tight encounter, and they will make it miserable for us. But somehow our guys are professionals. They should be able to do the needful while Chile gets the tactical plans. If we get the blueprint right, maybe we can get one above FD Amorichi. Otherwise, it's going to be very tough for us.
Well, let's hope that Nigeria will do best in our preparations. But for the opponents, the Rwandan side, they seem to be hit by news of death of the father of a player of the squad. Do you think this will have a ripple effect as they face Nigeria on Friday?
Surely it does. It does. When we heard the news, I thought that it was a massive, story point. But I mean, I've heard that it was more than one player losing the father or parents. But I just hope that there will be calmness too. You know how these things come. And for us, we need a distraction in the team so we can have an edge. But I don't think it's a good time, because the players now also have alignment. Some of them will not be happy that, okay, our co-player and lost one of his parents. It can be very devastating, but I'm sure that they will get over it. They know what is at stake, and somehow they will. In fact, we've been fighting more for the players, but like I said, it's a good distraction from their camp to us.
Well, Nigeria up against Rwanda on Friday. There are a lot of fixtures involved in this one, but let's look at, you're talking about coaches, new coaches taking a charge of team. There is Leo Sisi, remember him, the former coach of Senegal. He's now moved to Libya as the head coach with just about a week to the international fixture. Do you see him continue with what we saw of him in Senegal?
Yeah, it depends on the squad. Maybe not with Senegal. Maybe not how fantastic he was with Senegal. But I think that he was going for the money. The money was just too big to ignore, and I think that he's a fine coach. Aleo Cisse is one player coach, who has really transformed the image of indigenous coaches in Africa. And I think that if we look at it from that antecedent of getting Senegal to winning that African Cup of Nations, that might also have pushed his CV up. But since then, he's been very calm and silent. So his job is coming timely for him. He will be well paid. Get the players that will deliver the goods for you. What should be their targets? African Cup of Nations? Just maybe. But for now, let's see how far they go. But it's a good appointment for him. At least he needs to be in the business if he must continue with his legacies.
Well, it's an international break, and not just Nigeria preparing for the World Cup. Talking about Nigeria reminds me that she has to really get everything done. We've lost one game, I've drawn 3, has not won so far in the qualifier. So the last 6 games remaining are must win for Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup. It will be so sad if Nigeria do not join the party going to the next edition of the World Cup. We'll see how it happens on Friday, and thereafter there'll be another fixture in the Nations Cup qualifier in Uyo. But meanwhile, it's not only Nigeria that is having the international break. Most countries are preparing for the World Cup, and injuries are part of the business. The English national team camp has been hit by Kupama's injury. He left the camp.
Yeah, he left the camp because of the injury. But I just wonder why that was done, because we saw a player who was not there, when Arsenal played them recently. So ordinarily, I don't know the permutations that the teacher was thinking that he might be fit enough. I mean, yes, he might be a very good player. We saw what he did with the side last time, but I don't think that they should have gambled it. So for them, instead of risking it more, Chelsea will want to get him back, and as stands now, he has no option but to leave the side. It's not what any player wants. Every player want to be adorned in the colours of the national team, But when it's like this, I think that advices and counsel would have come. You can't play with this, and Chelsea needs him more now than even the Three Lions.
Morgan Gibbs White is the replacement for Cole Palmer of Chelsea, aftermath of that injury concern, and we just hope that the coach of his side, Tuchel, will understand what it means to lose such a player, and of course see how White will fit in. Meanwhile, Belgian goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois says he hopes that fans can accept him after ending his exile from the international football this week. This is it a loss to country Belgium and maybe again to Real Madrid?
He left the side in 2023, and I'm sure that he had a lot of thinking. We saw what transpired after the Euros too, and I'm just thinking that it's time to go back. Can fans, give him that welcome, that ovation? He's still the #1 goalkeeper. This man is he's an ardent winner. He's won the UEFA Champions League. What else? So if you have a player like that, and then he's still in his active service, there's no need keeping him back. So I think that he's also worthy to be recalled back to the national team. And if the coach has deemed it expedient to invite him, what he's thinking right now is the reception from the fans. Will the fans still love him the way they used to? I don't know, but we'll get to see when Belgium will play their first game.
Well, let's hope that Thibaut Courtois will do well enough to be so I cannot be ignored by the fans out there. We know him to be a top-class goalkeeper, and I think he can prove it again for the Belgian fans to accept him back. And talking about teams ahead of World Cup qualifiers, coaches as well looking around in building their squad. Head coach of the U.S. national team, Mauricio Pochettino, has admitted he would like to return to let's say club football. He's only just barely been on the job as head coach of the American national team.
Yeah, it's just been there, and I think that he wants to. What he wants to do now is to take. A lot has happened around him, in club football, the challenges and the way he left Chelsea. I think what he wants to do now is just to get his head back, show his talent and what he's made of with the national team side, like USA, review them, make more money for himself, and maybe go back to club football. I don't think that a coach like him will want to stay for long. I just think that he's going there because of the World Cup that is coming. Just maybe after the World Cup, if nothing is done positively from that side, he might come back to club football. I mean, these men they move around. They gather joy from moving back to club football, and he wants to show his pedigree. So let's see how far it goes. And but I know for sure that the timing will just right for him. Get the team hosting the World Cup and then we'll see what comes after them.
Well, let's just quickly wrap up the show, but we'll look at some fixtures of the CAF qualification going on. Especially today, we have Liberia taking on the Tanzania in a must-win fixture for the home side, the Lone Stars of Liberia.
Yeah, for Liberia and Tanzania, all of them are still in quest for World Cup tickets. Maybe they may not be at the best of the standings in that group, but we expect that some of these clashes can really. This is what teams want. They want to get to see how they are scored with gel and also see. But I think that it's not going to be an easy one. Liberia will travel away from home, so let's see what Tanzania will have to offer.
Tunisia really up against Liberia, and Tunisia is top in their group, and Liberia is third in that their group fixture. So hope they can get the job done. Meanwhile, it is Central African Republic against Madagascar in their group fixture today.
For Central African Republic, when it comes to African players, teams, sometimes it can be very tricky to really predict how it goes. But if you take a look at the way the group is structured, just maybe you get to see how far it goes. But I know for sure that the home teams will always want to show their strength against the coming teams.
Central African Republic is third in their fixtures there, where we have Madagascar fifth in their group, and in the other fixture. Later tonight, well, let's hope that we can wrap that up because we're really running out of time. We can bring you one or two more stories from club football. Legendary player Christian Eriksen is thinking of leaving Manchester United at the end of the season. Of course, Eriksen's story is quite well documented aftermath of the incident that happened where he passed on. and came back. But do you think this is the way to pay Manchester United back?
I think that he would have been told by Ruben Amorim that he's. I mean, Manchester United have done enough for him. When he came to the side, nobody would have believed it because the way he came in after what transpired, I mean, he was practically chased out from Italy. Okay, he was not accepted because it goes against the rules guiding. You cannot be having that machine in his chest and then he will continue playing. But in England, I mean, Manchester United felt that he would be a good addition, and of course he has done his own part. I just think that whatever happens next now is going to be a mutual agreement between him and the club. Don't forget, Manchester United are undergoing a lot of revolution as it stands now. The man at the helm of affairs is really talking tough, and then the coach also thinks that from next season he wants to have full complement of the players that he wants, and so there will be a lot of rejigging from the side. Some will be, you know, some will leave the side, some will exit, and then some fresh players, you know, that will come with the philosophy of the new coach will come up. So now I think everything is just possible.
Everything is just possible. We hope that Ericsson will have a new job after a month of leaving at the end of this season. Meanwhile, Özil is in the news. Former Arsenal player is in the news. We understand he's been banned from his former club, Werder Bremen. It looks like a controversial player. From Arsenal, he moved over to Turkey and now Germany. We understand the 36-year-old will not be welcome to Werder Bremen because of the kind of tattoo he wears.
I mean, yes, it's very difficult to really trying to understand why he's surrounded with such, you know, controversy. But players can attract this to themselves sometimes. I don't know how he's going to navigate this and get it sorted out.
He's wearing a tattoo that showcases a grey wolf and a flag with 3 crescent moons, and this is not going down well with the Werder Bremen management.
And then, of course, you also know that some of those things are, I mean, they are not in line with the rules. So fans, it may be racial, you know, in nature and a whole lot, but I'm sure that they will sort it out. If he has been signed to the club, they knew that he had that tattoo on him. I don't know how they're going to talk about it, but when it's anything that goes on socials, you know, sometimes we just wait to see how far it comes in reality.
Mesut Ozil, former Arsenal player, in the news. Talking about Arsenal reminds me that Bukayo Saka is in the news as well. He has to get through with his new contract. Is Arsenal ready, and Saka hoping to sign this one any moment soon?
I think he will. He will. He's yet to win a major with Arsenal, so like League, Champions League, and Arsenal, they are still in the taking for the Champions League. I mean, regardless of who they are going to play in the next round. And he's one of the fine players that Arsenal have got, who has also shown such brilliance, consistent brilliance whenever he's fit enough. So I think he will. It's just a matter of time. But one thing I know for sure, it will drag to the end of the season of what Arsenal intend to achieve.
Bukayo Saka has been injured since December this year. Do you think that will have any way affect his contract negotiations?
For Arsenal, it depends if he's going to come back before the end of the season. I don't think that Arsenal are in a haste to let him go. I don't also think that Bukayo Saka, yes, clubs can come for him, but I don't think there are much clubs because of the clauses around his contract. So now that we're going to see him debating for a fresh contract, just maybe the management of Arsenal, but they love the player, they adore him. There is a good understanding between Arsenal and Bukayo Saka's management. So I don't think that will be a player. I mean, that would be anything to challenge at all. He's a fine player from the academy of Arsenal. So players like this don't have issues with contract, agreement with their parent club. So I just think that he will stay put regardless.
Well, in our final story for today, we'll return back to the qualifiers for the World Cup across Africa. Features of matches, commercial game that will interest African followers of football is the encounter between Cameroon in the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon and Eswatini. It looks like the Cameroonians are runaway leaders in their group. Eswatini is way down in the 6th position at the basement of their group. Is this a walkover for the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon?
Yes, it is. It is going to. But although it won't be an easy one, but when you have a team seated, top 1-2 games, have 8 points, I just think that it may be a roller coaster ride because the team they're playing have not won any game, and so that seems to be where the challenge lies. And for Cameroon, they look like one leg already in the road to the next World Cup.
Well, that will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. We'll be back at 6 p.m. when we take in depth look at most of the features coming up later tonight and give you more insight into the Super Eagles camp in the Rwanda, more training sessions that we won, and a second one later in the evening. We'll take a look at that and see how the boys are preparing, especially the attack line for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, led by Victor Osimhen. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.